First off, I want to start off by saying all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash. That's all praises to the world ignorantly calls God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh for the Heavenly Father, and Yahushai, which is the true name in the Hebrew for the beloved Son. Also, I want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful light, preaching His word in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Tazabah, the Great Millstone, Arizona camp. Lord well, with another video to edify. And I got two videos. One from the brother Amawan Abad, the other one from Dabu 777. And I wanted to go into this topic because I remember when I went through the scriptures that I reviewed this before, and this is what is making our people err. You see, black culture is fully dead. Everything that they do has nothing to do with life. It spreads no life. And what you're being shown now is that they're using this as a money grab. Now I'm gonna play this first one, right?
Co-founders. This is Dabu 7. This information here is not going to surprise some because they know how much of a fraud the BLM is. That it's not truly what it seems to be in the eyes of the youth or anyone that is green that first sees it. Now we know that this movement has been backed by money that connects to George Soros and many other conglomerates. We've proven this ever since the days of Ferguson, where I personally was on the ground seeing these people getting trained and getting checks cut to them in a huge orchestration. That is what these individuals have done all the way up to this day. And you have fools like this out here flaunting all this big money, and people are calling some of the co-founders of BLM out like, you're living this lavish life, taking in all this money, and you're not helping the cause. And many people calling it out for what they're seeing. Another person calling this whole thing out is Breonna Taylor's mother. She's saying that they are a fraud, that BLM has used her family's name to raise money just like this woman did, and then not help the families out at all. This is coming from black family members that are connected into this, if anyone cares. Okay, so when you see a shift happening here in the offing against this movement out in the public and it gets nasty, don't be surprised, because people are sick of certain things, and certain things are getting brought upon the table where people are drawing up plans.
That's right. Right? So certain things are getting drawn on the table, right? Now, you see that, and the scriptures tell you what? Let me get this. Give me a second. Yeah, this is Micah chapter 7. It says, Micah 7:5, it says, Micah 7, and I'll start at 3. It says, that they may do evil with both hands. This is now I gotta start up. Right. I always go to the straight point. Micah 7:5. It says, trust ye not in a friend, put ye not confidence in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. You see? And I'm trying to find the one where it says, for every man will supplant. Let me get that one. Yeah, this is in the book of Jeremiah 9. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 4. It says, take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother. It says, for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slander. You see? This is why you got to know who you're around. This is why you got to know who you're working with, man. Because what Jake Jake as a whole has been bred into this cutthroat mentality, and now these nigger women, which I'm going to show you, they're a bunch of fucking witches, and they're part of the alphabet community, so they were not to be trusted. But they were able to pull over a whole movement has spread across America, and look at what they're doing. Nothing but stealing the money, reaping the benefits, and watching the people suffer. It says, and they will deceive everyone his neighbor. Give me 1 second after this precept. And they will deceive everyone his neighbor, and I will speak the truth and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies and weary themselves to commit iniquity. So I'm going to read it again. It says, and they deceive everyone his neighbor and will not speak the truth. They taught their tongue to speak lies, and they weary themselves to commit iniquity. Thine habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me, say Yahweh. You see? So through deceit, what? These women were deceiving the people, because here it is, they're supposed to be a head of a movement that's here to benefit the people. But look, they're taking all the money, buying all these $1 million homes, and I believe one of them have like $2 or $3 million homes. And here it is, the people still getting shot. No money's being put into you Negro, Hispanic, or Native Americans neighborhoods, but it's Black Lives Matter, right? It's disgusting, man. So peep this other one.
Witches run Black Lives Matter? And maybe I'm sharing too much, but we become very...
And let me say this, man. If you believe in the Bible, don't sit here and think it's off that there are witches and warlocks out there. The scriptures talk about it when you go back to the book of Exodus. When Moses threw down his staff and it became a serpent, the magicians of Egypt did the same thing. They turned water into blood as well, right? So it's not something that's strange and off, and that has not happened. Even Saul went to the witch of Endor, right?
With the spirits that we call on regularly, right? Like each of them seems to have a different presence and personality. I laugh a lot with Waukesha, and I didn't meet her in her body, right? I met her through this work. It's a very...
She didn't meet anybody through the body. Now the scriptures tell you what? Let me get this. When you go back to the law, it says, Leviticus 20:6, it says, in the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. Leviticus 20:27, and a man also, or a woman that have a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall utterly be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Right? The Lord talks about witches and wizards for a reason, man. This is Deuteronomy 18:10. It says, there shall not be found among you any that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Going into those sacrifices, right? When you go into that they have something called the Burning Man Festival or Burning Man Music Festival. That all went back to this wicker man that they would lock people into and burn it while they're alive. So they were doing what? Fire sacrifices through people, right? It says, there shall not be found among you any that maketh his daughter to pass through his son or a daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or by observing of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. And that's what this woman just described. She said she didn't meet her in person. She met her through this work, meaning that witchcraft.
Important practice. Hashtags for us are way more than a hashtag. It is literally almost resurrecting a spirit so they can work through us to get the work that we need to get done. I started to feel personally connected and responsible and accountable to them, both from a deeply political place, but also from a deeply spiritual place.
And Jacob look at this and think that they're using spiritual talk. No, these bitches is witches. I mean, look at the back of her room. That looks like a goddamn eagle's wing just sitting there. What the fuck is that?
And always, you know, in my tradition, you offer things that your loved one who passed away would want, you know, whether it's like honey or tobacco, things like that. And it's so important, not just for us to be in direct relationship to our people who've passed, but also for them to know we've remembered them. I believe so many of them work through us.
Black Lives Matter is ran by 3 witches who are lesbian witches: Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opa Tometi. She's of Nigerian descent. They are all 3 are part of the Black Boule Secret Society, and they are witches, they're warlocks, and the entire spiritual dogma or doctrine of Black Lives Matter is from the West African religion called Odu Ifa, capital O-D-U, then spacing capital I-F-A. But over 3,000 different religions in Africa, or Akibelon, is rooted in witchcraft and divination.
I feel like in our traditional practice, and people who practice, you know, traditions from West African places, one of the big things is remembering your ancestors. And I feel like part of the story, the building of BLM, was about remembering and remembering our people, not based off of a white supremacist memory, which would be about, you know, slandering them and putting their names in the newspaper and showing their mugshots, but instead remembering them from the place that their mothers and their fathers and their family would want us to remember them in. Even if
these women are a bunch of witches. Now, peep this scripture. This is Ezekiel 38 and 18. It says, Ezekiel 38, and I'll start at 17. It says, likewise, thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people, right? Because the women of our nation have always been down with this witchcraft bullshit, man. When you go into the so-called Latino tribes, right? What do they have? They have Buria, right? Or they have Buria, Pharmakia. They got Santa Maria, right? Going to the Southern Kingdom, right? The so-called Negroes. What do they have? They have voodoo, regular ass witchcraft like this. They, the women of our nation have always dealt with this evil ass demonic witchcraft spirit. And the Lord said, you're not supposed to suffer a witch to live. Now, this is Ezekiel 13 and 17. And the people have what? The scriptures tell you, it says the leaders of my people have caused them to err. Because here it is, these women want nothing to do with the Most High. They actually, when you go into their agenda, they forsake all type of malehood, right? They rather just want, a homosexual society that's fully accepting of it, rather than to have strong male figures within the so-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American community, right? This is what they want. Now it says, this is Ezekiel 13 and 17. It says, likewise, thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people, which prophesy out of their own heart, and prophesy thou against them, Salakia. It says, and say, thus say Yahweh power, woe to the women that sew pillows to all armholes, and make kerchiefs upon their heads to every stature, to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people, right? And these women are nothing but hunting souls, because here it is, the families aren't even at rest, because they're pulling up these dead Israelites' names just to make money. And look, their families aren't getting no help. They're legit just hunting the souls of those people just to make some dollars, man. And what are they doing? Buying $1 million homes while your people are still fucked up, and you profiting off of their struggle and their deaths, right? It says, and make kerchiefs upon the head of every stature to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people? Will you save the souls alive that come unto you? Will you pollute? It says, will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and pieces of bread? And that's what they're doing for money. It says, to slay the souls that should not die, right? Because what? They prop up homosexuality, right? Black Lives Matter was nothing but an LGBTQ movement sold under the guise of Jake getting put to death, right? Will you pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and pieces of bread, to slay the souls that should not die, and to save alive the souls that should not live, right? Because what this woman just said is that these hashtags, they're used to what? To conjure up those spirits back up. You know? It says that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies. Now peep this. When you go into this word in the interlinear in verse 18, when you go into this, right? And they change the blue letter, so if brothers don't recognize it yet, it pulls it up on, and when you try to click on the word or the sentence in the scriptures, you got to look up, and on the right side it says reverse interlinear, and that's what you got to pick to get how it used to look. So it says when you go down to pillows, right? For that word for pillows is kasath, and it says band, fillet, covered amulets, false phylacteries, right? Used by false prophetesses in Israel to support their demonic fortune-telling schemes, right? So it goes all into witchcraft. That's what they were doing. And this is exactly what these women are doing. They're using these hashtags to do that exact thing. It says, let me see if I can find a little more on this. Salakia, let me look. This don't keep messing up. Let me go to the 19th verse and pull up that word in the 19th verse, which is 19 or the 20th verse. Yeah, that's it on that. I'll just drop it on that. You see? So the women of our nation have always been down for that witchcraft, and now what are they doing? They're stealing all that money and getting away with it. Living large, living lavish, right? Now this is I'm gonna read this because the Lord is getting ready. The Lord is getting ready to judge that stuff. Verse Ezekiel 38, 13 and 20, Salakia. And it says, wherefore thus say Yahweh power, behold, I am against your pillows wherewith ye there hunt the souls to make them fly, and I will tear them from your arms, right? The Lord's gonna take that shit violently, and I will let your soul go, even the soul, and I will let the soul go, even the soul that ye hunt to make them fly away. So what? The Lord is going to address them, and they're going to pull away that covering that they have to do all this shit. And when you go to the book of Isaiah 28 and 15, it says, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. Because that's what these women did. They think that going back into this, Hamite witchcraft is going to bring them some type of fortune and good measure, right? It says, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves, making all this money off of your evil and the suffering of your people. Now, verse 18, it says, verse 17. I'll just keep reading. Verse 16. Therefore, thus say Yahweh power, behold, I will lay in Zion a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. So the Lord is what? Propped up the Israelites, propped up the prophets. It says, judgment also will I lay to the line, and righteousness to the plummet, and the hell shall sweep away the refuge of lies, and waters shall overflow the hiding places. What? Because what? That day is coming, that great flood, right? that tempest, that day of trouble, man. That's gonna wipe away that refuge of lies. Hell is about to hit you, witchcraft ass bitches, man. It says, verse 18, it says, and your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then ye shall be trodden down by it. So these women, these homosexual witches that are profiting off of you, Jake, dying, buying all this shit, and not giving anything to the actual people that are suffering, you women are going to meet your day. It says, from the time that it goeth forth, it shall take you. From morning by morning shall it pass over. By night and by night, by day and by night, it shall be a vexation only to understand a report. So what's about to happen? You people are gonna be fucking shook to your core, man. You see, and this is why we tell you, you're not supposed to gather with another spirit. It says Isaiah 30:1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, say Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down to Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And this is what these bitches promoted. None of them was talking to praying to the Most High, because they didn't believe in him. They were fully immersed in their witchcraft. So what? You, Jake, ran after it, and look, now they profiting out for you niggas dying. And they're going to keep posting up your names, making memorabilia, putting your names on t-shirts, charging $25 a pop, and making money off you niggas as you die. Shalom.